I'm David Volk, a voice of the resistance, albeit a strange and funny one. Today's post, Project 2025 wants to screw up something new. Its attack on this department has me in a state. I know it may sound weird, but the best way to understand how Republicans and the Heritage Foundation want to run the country is to imagine a football field with movable goalposts on one end and fixed posts on the other. Whenever the Democrats get the ball, they have to gain at least 50 yards to score. When the cons get the ball, though, they don't want to go the full distance to score. Instead, they seem to believe all they have to do is move the end zone and goalposts 40 yards closer to the middle of the field, and they won't have to work as hard to win. Their approach is kind of like stacking the deck and being too lazy to do even the small amount of work necessary to win that way at the same time. So, even though they know they can't win on the strength of their ideas and will likely have to find some way to get in by cheating or on a technicality, if they get in, they will tend to follow the rules. But not really. They know that the Senate must confirm candidates to fill certain positions in the State Department. But what they want to do is have the president appoint an acting head of the department and have that person make a bunch of decisions before the Senate can do anything about it. And one of those big actions will be firing a bunch of career civil servants in the department, each department, especially this department, and replacing them with presidential loyalists on day one, even though many of the positions they are filling previously required congressional approval. Sneaky, right? But wait, it gets worse. Or better, depending on what side your bread is buttered on. And if you're gluten-free, well, you're out of luck because you're probably one of those trans leftist DEI-loving commie pinkos who hates butter. Anywho, Project 2025 wants the president to be able to freeze all of the treaties the U.S. has with other countries, review them, and change them as the president sees fit so that they will fit his or her worldview, which is kind of like having someone agree to a contract for services and then balk at paying full price for the job, even though the contract met all of the project specifications. Fortunately, we don't know anyone who would do something like that. Never mind. It's almost like they wrote the plan with Dementia J. Trump in mind, which they kind of did. Other highlights. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. The effort to get non-residents to get out and stay out continues, with an effort to speed up the removal of people who have been ordered to leave the country because they did not achieve citizenship. 2025 also wants to curtail the U.S. refugee admission program and put the Remain in Mexico program back into effect, which is you have to stay in Mexico until you get citizenship, which could take forever. With friends like these, number two, with friends like these, who needs enemas? The Heritage Foundation also wants the president to review which countries are our friends and which are our enemies. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Expect countries led by dictators who say flattering things about him to move up in the standings, and those whose leaders remain silent to drop precipitously in the power rankings. Consequences for moving to enemies column range from ghosting and unfriending on Facebook to the threat of thermonuclear destruction, as Canada and Mexico are now seeing. We've got our eyes on you. Number three, the State Department should focus much of its concern on several key countries, including China, Iran, Venezuela, Russia, and Korea for the following reasons. 1, we don't trust China because they're Chinese, communist, and probably developed COVID in a lab. We don't like Iran's religious leadership because they are the wrong religion and because they have the audacity to want to join the nuclear weapons club, but we like to think we could still take them. We don't like Venezuela because it's a failed state run by communists, and they have all that oil that is rightly ours. We may or may not like Russia, but not because it's run by a former communist. Instead, we may or may not like Russia's involvement in Ukraine. The ultimate resolution will hinge on the Trumpian question, hey, what's in it for me? We're not sure if we like Africa all that much either, what with all those places Trump described as shithole countries, but we want a piece of the action before China and Russia take over everything. So we're going to shift from humanitarian aid to encouraging free market systems that will allow us to make money and, yes, keep out the communists. We may or may not like Jews, but we will defund the Palestinian Authority to protect Israel so that all the Jews can return there to bring about the final battle between good and evil, which we will win because we just love all that smiting. Go Team Armageddon! It's worth noting that they don't mention which side they're on. Okay, I admit that last one isn't actually in the document. It's just assumed. Well, that about covers it for now, and the saga continueth, until it shall not.